I wasn't supposed to be on his arm. I was the housekeeper, the girl who scrubbed his marble floors and kept her head down when powerful men came calling. But that night, at the billionaire's wedding, Ronan Marchesi laced his fingers through mine and led me into a room full of people who feared his name. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Cameras turned. I could feel every stare burning into me, but his hand never let go. "She's with me," he said, voice low, final, daring anyone to question him. My heart pounded so hard I could barely breathe. I didn't know what terrified me more, the judgment in their eyes, or the way I wanted to believe him. Because somewhere between dusting his empire and dodging his world's dangers, the Mafia boss hadn't just noticed me, he'd chosen me. Maya Ellis. The heat of his palm against mine is a brand. It's a claim made in a language I don't speak but understand with every cell in my body. The ballroom is a galaxy of shimmering gowns and razor-sharp tuxedos, a universe away from the quiet solitude of my small apartment, where the bills pile up like snowdrifts and the scent of lemon-scented cleaner clings to my clothes. Here, the air smells of money, expensive perfume, and something else, power. It radiates from Ronan in palpable waves, a force field that parts the sea of glittering guests before us. My dress isn't mine. It was delivered to my room an hour before we left, a simple black box with no note. Inside, midnight blue silk whispered against my skin, a dress that probably cost more than my sister's last round of chemotherapy. I had stood before the mirror in the staff quarters, a ghost in a borrowed life, wondering what game he was playing. Now, I'm the centerpiece of that game, and I don't know any of the rules. His thumb strokes the back of my hand, a small, almost imperceptible movement. It's not gentle, it's possessive, a reminder of who is in control. I risk a glance up at him. His profile is carved from granite, all hard lines and severe angles. His dark hair is impeccably styled, his jaw shadowed with stubble that I know is rough against the skin. I know this because I once accidentally brushed against him in the hallway of his penthouse, and the brief, shocking contact sent a jolt through my entire system. He hadn't even seemed to notice, or so I thought. "Smile, Maya," he murmurs, his voice a low vibration that travels straight down my spine. It's not a request. I obey, forcing my lips into a shape that feels brittle and foreign. The smile doesn't reach my eyes. I know it doesn't. My eyes are wide, scanning the crowd, looking for an escape route that doesn't exist. I see them all, the surgically perfected faces of the women, their eyes like chips of ice as they assess me. They see the worn-out hope in my posture, the slight tremor in my hand, the fact that I belong here about as much as a stray cat at a dog show. The men are worse. They look at Ronan with a mixture of fear and deference, and then their gaze slides to me with a predatory curiosity. Who is this girl? What does she mean to him? A woman with hair the color of spun gold and a diamond necklace that could probably clear all my debts detaches herself from a nearby group. She glides toward us, her red dress a slash of aggression against the muted tones of the room. "Ronan, darling," she purrs, her eyes flicking over me with blatant disdain. "I didn't expect to see you here. And with company." She lets the word hang in the air, weighted with insinuation. This is Isabella Vance. I've seen her picture in the society pages, often next to Ronan's. I've also cleaned up a broken champagne flute she once threw in his study during a late-night argument. Ronan's grip on my hand tightens infinitesimally. "Isabella, you're looking well." His tone is flat, utterly devoid of warmth. He doesn't introduce me. He simply holds my hand, a silent, unyielding statement. Isabella's perfectly painted smile wavers for a second. She looks at me again, properly this time, her gaze raking over my borrowed dress, my simple hair, my bare neck where a necklace like hers should be. "You always did have a taste for the simple things." The insult is meant to land like a physical blow, to put me in my place, and it works. Shame, hot and sharp, prickles at the back of my neck. I am simple. I am the help. I am nothing in this world of everything. But then Ronan moves, shifting his body just enough to place himself more fully in front of me, a human shield. "My tastes are my own," he says, his voice dropping a degree, becoming something dangerous. "And I don't recall asking for your opinion." The air crackles. Isabella's face pales beneath her makeup. She opens her mouth, then closes it, a fish gasping for air. She gives a tight, jerky nod and melts back into the crowd, her retreat as swift as her approach was brazen. Ronan doesn't look at me. He keeps his eyes fixed on the room, But I feel the conversation isn't over. The entire exchange took less than a minute, but it felt like a lifetime. He just defended me. He put a woman like Isabella Vance in her place. For me. The thought is both terrifying and exhilarating. "Let's get a drink," he says, his voice back to its usual cool command. He pulls me toward the bar, his stride long and confident. I have to practically jog to keep up, my simple heels sinking into the plush carpet. The bartender sees us coming and immediately straightens up, his professional smile looking strained. "Mr. Marchesi, what can I get for you?" "Whiskey. Neat." He turns his gaze to me, and for the first time tonight he really looks at me. His eyes are the color of dark coffee, intense and unreadable. They strip away the borrowed dress and the forced smile, seeing the frightened housekeeper underneath. "Maya?" My voice is a dry whisper. "Water, please." He gives a curt nod to the bartender, who scurries to fulfill our orders. The silence stretches between us, thick with everything unsaid. "Why me? Why tonight? What happens when this is all over?" The questions swarm in my mind, a frantic buzz of anxiety. This job, working for Ronan Marchesi, was an act of pure desperation. My sister, Chloe, is sick. The kind of sick that insurance companies run from. The kind of sick that requires specialists and treatments with price tags that look like phone numbers. I'd been working 2 jobs, barely sleeping, watching her get paler and thinner, when I saw the ad. A private household manager for a wealthy businessman. The salary was astronomical. The confidentiality agreement was ironclad. I didn't know who Ronan Marchesi was when I took the job. I just knew the money could save Chloe's life. I learned quickly. I learned from the hushed conversations I wasn't supposed to overhear, from the armed men who stood guard at every entrance to his glass and steel penthouse, from the way powerful city officials spoke to him with their heads bowed. He wasn't just a businessman. He was an emperor, and this city was his Rome. And I was just one of the servants, meant to be invisible. Dusting his priceless art, organizing his life with silent efficiency, making sure his coffee was hot and his bed was turned down. I never looked him in the eye. I never spoke unless spoken to. It was a simple contract, my silence and service in exchange for my sister's future. Until tonight. He hands me my glass of water, his fingers brushing mine. The contact is electric, a stark contrast to the cold glass. "Drink," he orders softly. I take a sip, the cool liquid doing little to calm the fire in my stomach. He watches me, his gaze so focused it feels like a physical touch. He leans in closer, his scent overwhelming me: sandalwood, leather, and something uniquely him, something clean and masculine and dangerous. "You're trembling," he observes. "I'm not used to this." I gesture vaguely at the opulent chaos around us. "You'll have to be." The finality of his statement hits me like a slap. This isn't a one-night charade. This is a change. A fundamental shift in the terms of our arrangement. "Why?" I finally manage to ask, the word barely audible over the string quartet playing somewhere in the distance. "Why are you doing this?" Ronan takes a long swallow of his whiskey, his eyes never leaving mine. The muscle in his jaw tightens. "Because I need something from you, Maya." Of course. Men like him don't do anything without a reason, without a calculated angle. I am a pawn in a game I can't even see. "What?" I ask, my voice gaining a sliver of strength. "If I'm going to be a pawn, I at least deserve to know the board. I need a weakness," he says, and the words are so unexpected they knock the air from my lungs. A weakness? Everyone in this room, everyone in my world, looks for a weakness. A way in, a pressure point. He gestures with his glass to the crowd. They look at me and they see a fortress. No family to threaten, no vices to exploit. It makes them nervous, unpredictable. He takes another sip of whiskey, his eyes dark and serious. "So I'm going to give them one." My blood runs cold. "Me." "You," he confirms with a slight, almost imperceptible nod. "From this moment on, you are my weakness. You are the one thing I care about, the person they will target to get to me." I stare at him, horrified. He isn't offering me protection. He's painting a target on my back. He's turning me into bait. "No," I whisper, shaking my head. "No, you can't. I'm your housekeeper. I have a sister. She depends on me. I know about Chloe," he says, and the quiet statement freezes me solid. He knows. He knows about the hospital, the treatments, the debt. Of course he does. He knows everything. My desperation wasn't a secret. It was a qualification for the job. Her care will be taken care of. The best doctors, the best facilities, all of it. You won't have to worry about a single bill ever again. He's bartering with my sister's life. And in return? I ask, my voice trembling with a mixture of fear and fury. In return, you will play your part. You will be on my arm. You will live in my home, not in the staff quarters. You will do whatever I say. You will be mine, in every way that matters to the outside world. He leans closer still, his voice dropping to a husky whisper that is for my ears alone. And in exchange for being my perfect, beautiful, vulnerable weakness, I will be your impenetrable shield. No one will ever harm you. I will burn this city to the ground before I let anyone lay a hand on you. It's the most terrifying, monstrous, and strangely seductive promise I have ever heard. He is offering me a gilded cage, and in return for my freedom, he's offering Chloe's life and my safety. Is it even a choice? Before I can answer, a man approaches. He's older, with silver hair and a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. Ronan's entire posture changes. He straightens, his hand leaving my arm to rest possessively on the small of my back, pulling me against his side. The warmth of his body seeps through the silk of my dress. "Ronan," the man says, his voice smooth as aged whiskey. "Good to see you. And this must be the lovely lady we've all been hearing whispers about." Ronan's hand tightens on my back. "Senator Carmichael, meet Maya Ellis. My partner." He says the word with deliberate weight, not his date, not his girlfriend, his partner. It's a declaration of permanence, a line drawn in the sand. I feel the senator's eyes on me, assessing, calculating. I am no longer just a woman. I am a piece on a chessboard, a factor in an equation of power I can't begin to comprehend. I offer my hand, my training as a polite, invisible servant kicking in. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Senator." He takes my hand, his grip a little too firm, his thumb stroking my knuckles. "The pleasure is all mine, my dear. Ronan has kept you hidden away. I can certainly see why." Ronan's body goes rigid beside me. He steps forward, seamlessly disengaging my hand from the senator's and tucking it back into the crook of his own arm. "Maya values her privacy," Ronan says, his voice lethally calm. "As do I." The veiled threat is unmistakable. The senator's smile tightens. He gives a stiff nod and retreats. Every interaction is a battle, a negotiation of power, and I am now Ronan's weapon, his shield, his liability. The rest of the night passes in a blur of fake smiles and veiled threats. Ronan never leaves my side. His hand is a constant, warm weight on my back, his presence a suffocating, protective blanket. He introduces me to a handful of other people, a ruthless CEO, a cold-eyed judge, a man he simply calls his cousin, Marco, who looks at me with an unnerving mixture of pity and contempt. With each introduction, Ronan's claim on me becomes more real, more binding. By the time we leave, the moon is high in the sky, a pale sliver against the inky black. The valet brings Ronan's car around, a low-slung black machine that looks more like a weapon than a vehicle. He holds the door for me, a gesture of old-world chivalry that feels jarringly at odds with the cold-blooded bargain he just laid out. The ride back to the penthouse is silent. The city lights streak past the tinted windows, a river of gold and silver. I stare out at them, feeling completely detached, as if I'm watching a movie of someone else's life. The woman who left this penthouse this evening was a housekeeper, worried about her uniform and whether she had locked the staff entrance. The woman returning is a pretend weakness, a beautiful lie. The private elevator opens directly into his home. The penthouse is vast and sterile, all white marble, black leather, and floor-to-ceiling windows that display the glittering city like a captured jewel. It's a space I know intimately. I know which floorboards creak, which cushion on the sofa is his favorite, where he leaves his empty whiskey glasses. But tonight, it feels different, alien. I am no longer just an employee here. I am an exhibit. Ronan shrugs off his suit jacket, tossing it onto a chair. He loosens his tie, his movements fluid and economical. "Dimitri will have your things moved from the staff quarters to the guest suite in the morning." The guest suite. It's on the same floor as his master bedroom, connected by a short, private hallway. I've only ever been in there to clean it. It's beautiful, luxurious, and completely isolated from the rest of the staff. Another part of the cage. "My things?" I ask, my voice small. I don't have much. A few changes of clothes, a worn copy of my favorite book, a framed picture of me and Chloe laughing in the sun. My whole life fits into 2 suitcases. You'll be provided with whatever you need, he says dismissively, walking over to the bar that dominates one wall of the living room. He pours himself another whiskey. He doesn't offer me one. Anger, cold and sharp, finally cuts through the fog of fear and confusion. Provided with? Like a pet? Like one of your possessions? He turns, leaning back against the bar, and pins me with his dark gaze. Is that what you think you are? What else am I supposed to think? My voice rises, filled with a desperate energy. You parade me around like a prize. You announce to the world that I'm your weakness. You offer to pay for my sister's life as if you're buying a car. You don't get to just decide these things for me. I just did, he says, his voice dangerously quiet. I decided the moment I saw you. That stops me. What are you talking about? The first day you worked here, he says, his eyes holding mine captive. You were in the library. You thought you were alone. You were dusting the shelves, and you stopped to look at a book of poetry. Rilke. You ran your fingers over the spine like it was something precious. Then you opened it and read a page, and you smiled. A real smile. Not the plastic one you were wearing tonight. I stare at him, speechless. I remember that moment. The library is my favorite room in this cold museum of a home. It's the only place with any warmth, lined with old books that smell of leather and paper and time. I had felt so small and insignificant in this palace of power, and for a moment, that book had made me feel connected to something beautiful. I thought no one was watching. I've been watching you, Maya, he continues, his voice a low rumble. I see how you look at the city from the balcony when you think no one is around. I see the way you talk to the security staff, asking about their families. I see the weariness in your eyes that you try so hard to hide. You move through my world, but you are not of it. You're real. In a world of carefully constructed lies, you are the only true thing I've seen in years. He pushes off the bar and walks toward me, his steps slow and deliberate. He stops just in front of me, so close I have to tilt my head back to look at him. The men I deal with, they expect a certain type of woman on my arm, someone hard, polished, and greedy. Someone like Isabella. They would know how to handle a woman like that, how to bribe her, threaten her, turn her. But you... He reaches out, his hand hovering for a second before his fingers gently touch my cheek. His touch is surprisingly soft, a stark contrast to his rough persona. They won't know what to do with you. Your sincerity will be your armor, and my protection will be your fortress. My heart is hammering against my ribs, a frantic bird trapped in a cage. His explanation makes a twisted kind of sense, but it doesn't make it any less terrifying. And what if I say no? I whisper, my breath catching in my throat. His eyes darken. The tenderness vanishes, replaced by the cold, hard resolve of the man who commands this city. I told you, Chloe's care is taken care of. That is a fact, whether you agree to this or not. It is done. But if you walk away from me, you will walk away with nothing. No job, no reference, and you will be outside of my protection. Do you have any idea how many people saw you on my arm tonight? How many of my enemies now know your face? The threat is clear. He didn't just introduce me to his world. He made me a citizen of it. And without him, I'm not just a civilian. I'm a target. He created the danger, and now he's selling me the only solution. Tears of frustration and helplessness well in my eyes. You've trapped me. I've saved you, he corrects, his voice softening again. His thumb gently brushes away a tear that escapes and trails down my cheek. You were drowning, Maya. I'm offering you a lifeline. It may not be the one you wanted, but it's the only one that will keep your head above water. He's right. I was drowning. In debt, in worry, in hopelessness. Every day was a struggle for survival, a desperate fight to keep Chloe alive. He's offering an end to that fight. But the cost is my life, my will, myself. I look into his eyes, searching for a hint of deception, a crack in his formidable facade. I find nothing but unwavering certainty. He believes what he's saying. He believes this monstrous arrangement is a form of salvation. The guest suite, I say, my voice hoarse. For now, it's not an agreement. It's a truce, a temporary surrender, a flicker of something relief. Triumph crosses his face before it's gone, replaced by his usual impassive mask. Dmitri will show you the way. He steps back, breaking the intense connection between us. The air rushes back into the space he occupied, cold and empty. I feel the loss of his warmth immediately, a strange, unwelcome ache. Dmitri, the stoic head of security, appears as if summoned from the shadows. He's a mountain of a man, always dressed in a perfectly tailored black suit, his expression perpetually grim. He nods at me, a silent instruction to follow. I turn without another word to Ronan and walk behind Dimitri, my borrowed heels clicking softly on the marble floor. I don't look back. I can feel Ronan's eyes on me, a physical weight against my shoulders, all the way down the hall until we turn the corner, and he is finally out of sight. The guest suite is even more opulent than I remembered from my cleaning rounds. It's not a room, it's a small apartment, a bedroom with a king-sized bed that looks like a cloud, a sitting area with its own fireplace, and a bathroom the size of my entire apartment, complete with a rainfall shower and a deep soaking tub. A wall of windows offers the same breathtaking view as the main living area. A beautiful prison. Your personal items will be here in the morning, Miss Ellis, Dimitri says, his voice a low gravel. Mr. Marchesi has arranged for a wardrobe to be delivered as well. If you require anything, there is an intercom panel by the door. Thank you, Dimitri, I say, wrapping my arms around myself. He hesitates for a moment, a rare break in his professional demeanor. He has never done this before, he says quietly. Brought someone into the penthouse, into his life. His words are not meant to comfort, merely to inform, a statement of fact, but they land with the weight of a prophecy. I am the first. What that means, I don't know, but it feels less like an honor and more like a curse. Dimitri gives another curt nod and leaves, the heavy door clicking shut behind him, sealing me inside. I'm alone. I walk over to the window and press my forehead against the cool glass. The city sprawls below me, a glittering, indifferent beast. From up here, the world looks peaceful, orderly, but I know it's not. I know that in those canyons of light and shadow, men like Ronan Marchesi make and break lives with a single phone call, and I am now inextricably tied to one of them. I peel off the midnight blue dress, letting it pool at my feet like spilled ink. It feels wrong against my skin now, a costume for a part I never auditioned for. Stripped down to my simple underwear, I feel more like myself, but also more vulnerable than ever. I wander into the marble bathroom and turn on the shower, the water hissing as it cascades from the ceiling. I step under the hot spray, hoping it can wash away the feel of the night, the scent of expensive perfume, the lingering touch of the senator's hand, the heavy weight of Ronan's claim. But it doesn't. The heat of his palm is still imprinted on mine. The intensity of his gaze is burned into my memory. He thinks I'm real, the only true thing in his world. The irony is suffocating. He's forcing me into a life that is a complete and utter lie, all because he saw a moment of truth he wanted to possess. I stay in the shower until the water begins to cool, then wrap myself in a thick, plush towel that smells of lavender and bleach. In the bedroom, I find a pair of silk pajamas laid out on the bed, still in their packaging. Of course. He thought of everything. Every detail of my gilded cage has been meticulously planned. I slip them on and climb into the enormous bed. The sheets are cool and smooth against my skin, the thread count probably higher than my bank balance. I should be exhausted, but my mind is racing. I think of Chloe, sleeping in her sterile hospital bed, and a wave of guilt washes over me. I'm doing this for her. I have to keep telling myself that. This sacrifice is for her future. But as I lie in the darkness of this luxurious room, another thought, a more dangerous and traitorous one, slips into my mind. I think of the moment Ronan shielded me from Isabella, the raw, possessive anger in his voice. I think of the way he promised to burn the city down to protect me, and a tiny, shameful part of me, a part I haven't acknowledged in years of lonely struggle, feels a flicker of something that isn't fear. It feels like safety. The next morning, I wake to the soft glow of dawn filtering through the windows. For a disoriented moment, I don't know where I am. The unfamiliar weight of the silk pajamas, the vastness of the bed, the silence. Then it all comes rushing back. The wedding, the bargain, the cage. I get up and find that, as promised, my 2 worn suitcases are sitting by the door. Beside them are at least a dozen large, elegant boxes from high-end department stores. The new wardrobe. I ignore them, opening my own suitcase and pulling out a pair of simple jeans and a soft, faded t-shirt. I need to feel like myself, at least for a little while. As I'm brushing my teeth in the palatial bathroom, I catch my reflection in the mirror. I look different. There are dark circles under my eyes, but there's something else, too. A new tension around my mouth, a guarded look in my eyes. The girl who used to smile at a line of poetry already feels like a stranger. I venture out of the suite, my bare feet silent on the cool marble floors. The penthouse is quiet. I follow the scent of coffee to the kitchen, a sleek industrial space that I've scrubbed and polished more times than I can count. Ronan is there. He's standing by the window, a mug in his hand, already dressed in a sharp, dark suit. He looks like he was born in it. He turns as I enter, and his eyes rake over me, taking in my simple clothes, my bare feet, my sleep-tousled hair. He doesn't say anything, but I see a flicker of something in his expression. Approval? Disappointment? I can't tell. "There's coffee," he says, gesturing with his mug. I nod, pouring myself a cup, my hands moving with the familiar efficiency of a housekeeper. The silence is heavy, filled with the unresolved tension of last night. "The first payment has been made to the hospital," he says, his back to me as he stares out at the city. "Chloe is being moved to a private suite today. Dr. Albright, the best oncologist in the country, will be taking over her case." I grip my mug, the warmth seeping into my cold hands. It's real. He did it. A wave of relief so powerful it makes me dizzy washes over me. For the first time in 2 years, a knot of constant, gnawing fear in my stomach begins to loosen. Chloe is safe. She will get the care she needs. "Thank you," I whisper. The words feel inadequate, small, for the magnitude of what he has just done. He turns to face me, his expression unreadable. "It's part of our arrangement." "Right," I say, my throat tight. "The arrangement. There are new rules, Maya," he continues, setting his mug down with a soft click. "You are no longer staff. You do not clean. You do not cook. You do not answer the door. Your only job is to be here, with me." "And what am I supposed to do all day?" I ask, a hint of defiance in my tone. "Sit here and look pretty? You can read. The library is yours. You can use the gym, the pool. You can watch movies. You can do anything you want, as long as it is within these walls." "A prisoner, a protected asset," he counters, his voice sharp. "Until my world gets used to your presence, until they understand you are untouchable, you do not leave this penthouse without me or Dimitri. Is that clear?" I clench my jaw, but nod. Clear. The days that follow fall into a strange, surreal rhythm. I wake up in my luxurious suite. I wear the beautiful clothes that were bought for me because my old ones feel like an accusation. I eat meals prepared by a chef, served at a long formal dining table where Ronan and I sit at opposite ends, the distance between us a yawning chasm. I spend most of my time in the library. It's my sanctuary, the one place where I can forget I'm a pawn in a dangerous game. I lose myself in stories of other worlds, other lives. Sometimes, late at night, Ronan will find me there, curled up in a leather armchair, a book in my lap. He won't say anything. He'll just stand in the doorway and watch me for a few moments before retreating to his own wing of the penthouse. His silent observations are more unnerving than any command. He is a creature of routine and control. He leaves early in the morning, a whirlwind of quiet power, and returns late at night, bringing the scent of the city and the weight of his world back with him. We rarely speak, but I am constantly aware of him. I feel his presence in the house, even when he's gone. His cologne lingers in the air. His jacket is slung over a chair. His glass is left by the fireplace. His empire is built on intimidation and fear, but his home is a place of absolute, monastic order. An order that I, a living, breathing, unpredictable human being, have now disrupted. One evening, about a week into my gilded captivity, I'm in the living room, trying to focus on a novel, when Ronan comes home early. He looks different. His tie is loosened, his hair is slightly disheveled, and there's a grim set to his mouth I haven't seen before. He bypasses the bar and sinks into the armchair opposite me, running a hand over his face. "Trouble?" I ask, the word slipping out before I can stop it. It's the first time I've initiated a conversation about his world. He drops his hand and looks at me, his eyes dark with exhaustion. "Something like that. A shipment was intercepted. A deal went south." He speaks in vague terms, but I can read between the lines. This isn't about stocks or board meetings. This is about the other side of his business, the side that requires armed guards and bulletproof cars. "Is anyone hurt?" I ask quietly. His gaze sharpens. "No one you need to worry about." It's a dismissal, but I don't let it go. "You're worried," I state, observing the tension in his shoulders, the way he keeps flexing his hand into a fist. He's silent for a long moment, studying me. "It was Marco," he finally says, his voice flat. My cousin. He was in charge of the logistics. He was either sloppy or he was compromised. Marco. The man from the wedding, with the resentful eyes. What will you do? I'll handle it, he says, the finality in his tone meant to end the conversation. But then he does something unexpected. He looks at me, a genuine question in his eyes. What would you do? I'm taken aback. He's asking for my opinion. The housekeeper. The fake weakness. Me. You're intelligent. You observe things. I've seen you. What do you do when you suspect someone you're supposed to trust might be working against you? I think for a moment, not about his world of violence and betrayal, but about my own. The hospital politics, the condescending doctors, the nurses who cut corners. You don't confront them, I say slowly. Not directly. You watch them. You give them just enough information to see what they do with it. You give them an opportunity to prove their loyalty, or to hang themselves. He watches me, his expression unreadable, as I speak. When I'm finished, a slow, almost imperceptible smile touches his lips. It transforms his face, softening the hard lines for a fleeting second. That's very good, Maya, he says, his voice a low murmur. The moment of connection is so unexpected, so potent, that it leaves me breathless. He sees me, not just as a symbol or a pawn, but as a person with a mind. The moment is broken by the chime of the elevator. A woman sweeps into the room, dressed in a fiery red dress that looks vaguely familiar. It's Isabella Vance. She stops short when she sees me, her perfectly made-up face twisting into a sneer. Ronan, darling, I was just... She cuts herself off, her eyes flicking between me and my simple sweater and jeans, and Ronan, who is watching her with cold fury. What is she still doing here? Ronan rises to his feet slowly, his body radiating menace. She lives here, he says, his voice like chips of ice. Isabella lets out a sharp, disbelieving laugh. Lives here? Ronan, have you lost your mind? She's the help. Did you get lonely and decide to promote the Maid? Every word is a poisoned dart, and they all find their mark. I flinch, shame and humiliation washing over me. I want to disappear, to run back to the safety of my suite. But before I can move, Ronan is across the room. He doesn't touch Isabella, but he doesn't have to. He looms over her, his presence so intimidating that she physically shrinks back. Get out, he snarls, his voice a low, terrifying growl. Ronan, don't be ridiculous. I said get out, he repeats, each word dripping with venom. And if you ever speak to her like that again, if you ever look at her again, I will personally destroy everything and everyone you have ever cared about. Do you understand me? Isabella's face is ashen. She looks from his furious face to me, huddled on the sofa, and a flicker of genuine fear crosses her eyes. She turns and flees, her heels clattering in a panicked rhythm against the marble floor as she rushes back to the elevator. The silence she leaves behind is deafening. Ronan stands with his back to me, his shoulders heaving, his hands clenched into tight fists at his sides. He is a barely contained storm of violence. He just threatened to ruin a woman's life, all because she insulted me. The protective act is so extreme, so disproportionate, it's terrifying. Ronan, I whisper. He turns slowly. The fury is gone from his face, replaced by a raw, unguarded look. He looks at me, and I see something in his eyes I've never seen before. A crack in the armor, a vulnerability that mirrors my own. No one, he says, his voice hoarse with emotion, talks to you that way. No one. He walks over to the window and stares out, his hand pressed against the glass. When I was 10, he says, his voice quiet, my father made a deal with a man he thought was his friend, a man from a rival family. He brought him into our home. He trusted him. That man betrayed him. He let my father's enemies into our house in the middle of the night. He pauses, and the silence is filled with the weight of unspoken tragedy. I was upstairs. I hid. I listened as they killed my parents. For business, for power. He turns from the window, his eyes haunted. I learned 2 things that night. Trust no one, and protect what is yours with a ferocity that borders on madness. Because the moment you show a weakness, the moment you let your guard down, the wolves will come. I stare at him, my heart aching for the boy who hid and listened to his world being destroyed. I finally understand. His control, his paranoia, his possessiveness. It's not just about power. It's about survival. It's a fortress built around the ruins of a childhood trauma. I get up from the sofa and walk toward him. It's a risk. He's volatile, emotional. But I'm not afraid of him. Not in this moment. I stop in front of him and, without thinking, I reach out and place my hand on his arm. His muscles are corded with tension, hard as steel beneath his suit. He flinches at my touch, but he doesn't pull away. "I'm sorry, Ronan," I say softly. He looks down at my hand on his arm, then up at my face. His expression is unreadable, his eyes searching mine. The air between us is thick, charged with a new kind of energy. It's not fear, and it's not just a bargain. It's something deeper. A shared understanding of loss, a flicker of connection in the dark. He lifts his hand and covers mine, his fingers wrapping around my own. His skin is warm, his grip firm but not crushing. He just stands there, holding my hand, looking at me as if he's seeing me for the very first time. And in the reflection of his dark, haunted eyes, I see not a housekeeper or a weakness, but a woman. And for the first time since I walked into this gilded cage, I don't feel like a prisoner. I feel seen. The storm hits the city 2 nights later. It arrives without warning, a furious assault of wind and rain that rattles the penthouse's floor-to-ceiling windows. The sky, usually a canvas of distant stars and city glow, is a churning mass of black and gray. The city lights below flicker and dance, distorted by the sheets of water lashing against the glass. It feels like the end of the world. Ronan is in his study, a room I've been implicitly forbidden from entering. It's his inner sanctum, the heart of his empire. But tonight, the house feels too big, too empty. The storm outside mirrors the tempest inside me. The revelation of his past, the raw vulnerability he showed me, has changed everything. The clear lines of our arrangement have blurred. He is no longer just my captor, and I am no longer just his pawn. We are 2 damaged people, trapped in a beautiful cage, circling each other. A sudden, violent crack of thunder shakes the entire building, and then the lights flicker once, twice, and die. The penthouse is plunged into absolute, suffocating darkness. The only sound is the roar of the wind and the drumming of rain against the glass. My heart leaps into my throat. "Maya?" Ronan's voice cuts through the dark, closer than I expected. "I'm here," I call out, my voice trembling slightly. In the living room, I see the narrow beam of a flashlight slice through the darkness from the direction of his study. It finds me, curled on the sofa. He walks toward me, his footsteps sure and steady even in the pitch black. The building's backup generator must have failed. "It won't last long," he says, his voice calm and reassuring. He's in his element. Chaos doesn't frighten him. He commands it. He moves around the room, the flashlight beam illuminating familiar objects in strange, ghostly ways. He finds a set of thick candles on the mantelpiece, candles I put there for decoration, and lights them with a lighter from his pocket. The room is filled with a soft, flickering glow. The shadows dance on the walls, making the vast space feel smaller, more intimate. He sets a candelabra on the coffee table in front of me. The warm light softens the hard lines of his face, making him look younger, less formidable. He's shed his suit jacket and rolled up the sleeves of his white shirt, revealing strong, corded forearms dusted with dark hair. A tattoo of a coiled serpent peeks out from under one cuff. "Are you all right?" he asks, his gaze searching mine. "I'm fine," I say, though my heart is still beating a little too fast. "I don't like storms." "You're safe here," he says, and it sounds like another one of his unbreakable promises. This building was designed to withstand a hurricane. He sits in the armchair opposite me, the one he sat in the other night. The small pool of candlelight separates us, but it feels more like a bridge than a barrier. The storm rages outside, a wild, untamed thing. But in here, in this pocket of light and shadow, there is a strange and profound stillness. "Tell me about Chloe," he says, the question so unexpected it takes me a moment to process. "What about her?" "Anything. What is she like?" He leans forward, his elbows on his knees, his attention focused solely on me. He isn't demanding information. He is asking. I hesitate, then find myself speaking. The words pour out of me, a flood of love and worry I've kept dammed up for so long. "She's light," I begin, a small smile touching my lips. "Even now, when she's so sick, she's the brightest person I know. She makes terrible jokes. She loves old black and white movies and paints watercolors of the birds outside her window. She's stubborn and brave and she's my whole world." I talk for a long time. I tell him about our childhood, growing up with parents who were more interested in themselves than in their daughters. I tell him how we relied on each other, How Chloe was the dreamer and I was the pragmatist, the protector. I tell him about the day she was diagnosed, the way our world shrank down to hospital rooms and medical jargon. He listens. He doesn't interrupt, doesn't offer platitudes. He just listens, his dark eyes fixed on my face, his expression intent. In the flickering candlelight, I feel as though he is absorbing every word, understanding the weight of my fear and my love for my sister. When I finally fall silent, my throat thick with unshed tears, he doesn't look away. "You're a good sister, Maya." "I'm just trying to keep her alive," I whisper. "You're doing more than that," he says, his voice a low, rough murmur. "You're giving her a reason to fight." A single tear escapes and traces a hot path down my cheek. He reaches across the table, his hand covering mine. His thumb moves in a slow, soothing circle against my skin. It's a gesture of pure comfort, devoid of the possession or control that usually marks his touch. "Why did you choose me, Ronan?" I ask, my voice barely audible over the storm. "The truth. Not the story about weakness and strategy." He's silent for a long time, his thumb never ceasing its gentle motion. "Because," he finally says, his gaze dropping to our joined hands. "When my parents were killed, my world became black and white. Duty, power, revenge. There was no room for color, no room for light. For 20 years, I've lived in the gray." He looks up, his eyes meeting mine. They are filled with a profound, aching loneliness. "And then I saw you, in my library, smiling at a book of poetry, and it was like seeing color for the first time. It was light. You were everything my world was not." My breath catches. This is the truth. Raw, unvarnished, and utterly devastating. He didn't choose me as a strategy. He chose me as an antidote, a cure for a sickness he's carried his whole life. "It wasn't a strategy, Maya," he continues, as if reading my thoughts. "It was an act of desperation, selfish. I wanted that light in my world. I wanted to keep it close, to protect it. I didn't know how to ask. I only know how to take, how to command." The power dynamic between us shifts, cracks, and then shatters completely. In this moment, he is not the powerful Mafia boss, and I am not the helpless housekeeper. We are just a man and a woman, stripped bare by the darkness and the storm, confessing the truths of our lonely hearts. He leans forward, his face illuminated by the flickering flame. He is so close. I can see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes, feel the warmth of his breath on my skin. The world shrinks to this small space, to the scent of rain and wax and the man in front of me. He lifts his other hand, cupping my jaw, his touch impossibly gentle. His thumb strokes my cheekbone, and my eyes flutter closed. This is it, the turning point, the moment when everything changes for good. "Maya," he whispers, his voice thick with an emotion I can't name, and then he closes the small distance between us and his lips meet mine. The kiss is nothing like I expected. It's not rough or demanding or possessive. It's soft, tentative, searching. It's a question. It speaks of his loneliness, his desperation, his awe. It tastes of whiskey and the storm, and 100 unspoken sorrows. I respond without thinking, my hand lifting from the table to rest on his chest, over his heart. I can feel it beating, a strong, steady rhythm beneath my palm. My lips part under his, and the kiss deepens, becoming something more. It's a promise of shared solace, a flicker of hope in the darkness. When he finally pulls away, we're both breathless. He rests his forehead against mine, our eyes closed. The storm still rages outside, but inside me, a profound calm has settled. The fear is gone, replaced by a terrifying, exhilarating new feeling. The lights flicker back on as suddenly as they went out, flooding the room with harsh, artificial brightness. The spell is broken. We pull apart, blinking in the sudden glare. The intimacy of the candlelit darkness feels a world away. Ronan stands up, running a hand through his hair. He won't look at me. The formidable mask is back in place, but I can see the cracks. I saw the man behind it. "I should check the breakers," he says, his voice strained. He turns and walks out of the room without another word, leaving me alone with the flickering candles and the wild, impossible beating of my own heart. The kiss changes the atmosphere in the penthouse from one of tense cohabitation to one of simmering, unspoken electricity. We avoid each other for the next 2 days. We take our meals at different times. We occupy opposite ends of the vast apartment, but the awareness between us is a taut wire, humming with the memory of that moment in the dark. I can feel his eyes on me when I'm not looking. I can sense when he enters a room, the very air shifting with his presence. He's retreated behind his wall of control, but it's too late. I've seen the truth, and the knowledge is a dangerous, powerful thing. I am no longer just his weakness. I am his secret. My new life continues. A stylist comes to the penthouse and we fill the empty closets with clothes that feel like they belong to another woman. A tutor is hired to teach me etiquette, history, and art, the things a woman in Ronan's world is expected to know. I am being sculpted, polished, perfected. Ronan is transforming me into a woman who can stand by his side not just as a prop, but as a partner. One afternoon, I'm in the library when Dimitri enters. "Miss Ellis, Mr. Marchesi has requested you join him. There is a charity gala this evening." My stomach clenches. Another public appearance. Another night of playing a part. But this time, it feels different. The part feels less like a lie. "Of course," I say, closing my book. That evening, I stand in front of the mirror in my suite, and for the first time, I almost recognize the woman staring back at me. I'm wearing a gown of emerald green silk that clings to my body in all the right places. My hair has been swept up in an elegant style, and delicate diamond earrings, a gift from Ronan, left on my vanity with no note, sparkle at my ears. When I walk into the living room, Ronan is waiting for me. He's in a perfectly tailored tuxedo, a vision of dark, dangerous elegance. He turns as I approach, and his eyes widen almost imperceptibly. He looks at me, and his mask slips. I see awe. I see desire. I see the man from the storm. "You look," he starts, his voice rough, then clears his throat. "Beautiful, Maya." "You don't look so bad yourself, Mr. Marchesi," I reply, a small, teasing smile playing on my lips. The smile he gives me in return is small, but it's real. It reaches his eyes. "Shall we?" he asks, offering me his arm. I take it, my fingers curling around his bicep. This time it doesn't feel like a chain, it feels like an anchor. The gala is even more extravagant than the wedding. We move through the crowd, a united front. The whispers still follow us, but they are different now. The blatant curiosity has been replaced by a grudging acceptance. I am no longer the mysterious newcomer. I am Maya Ellis, Ronan Marchesi's partner. I belong here. Ronan is more relaxed than he was at the wedding. He keeps me close, his hand resting on the small of my back, a constant, reassuring pressure. He introduces me to people, and this time, he includes me in the conversations, his eyes flicking to mine, silently asking for my opinion. We are standing near the terrace, talking to a city councilman, when I see him. Marco, Ronan's cousin. He's watching us from across the room, a glass of champagne in his hand, a thin, unpleasant smile on his face. When he catches my eye, he lifts his glass in a mock toast before turning away and blending back into the crowd. A shiver of unease runs down my spine. There's something wrong about him, something predatory in his gaze. I remember what Ronan said, that Marco was either sloppy or compromised. I remember my own advice. Give him an opportunity to hang himself. Later in the evening, Ronan is pulled into a conversation with a group of intense-looking men. "I'll be right back," he murmurs, his hand squeezing my waist before he lets go. I watch him walk away, feeling a sudden pang of vulnerability. For the first time all night, I am alone, and that's when Marco makes his move. "The Queen, left all alone on the chessboard," he says, appearing at my side. He smells of expensive cologne and something sour. "I'm fine, Marco," I say, my tone clipped and cool. "Are you?" he asks, his eyes roaming over my dress, my diamonds. "You've done well for yourself, from scrubbing floors to wearing a king's ransom. My cousin has expensive tastes." "Your cousin is a good man," I say, my voice firm. The words are out before I can think about them, but I realize with a jolt that I believe them. Marco lets out a low, humorless chuckle. "A good man? Ronan is a killer and a tyrant. He took everything that should have been mine, our family's legacy. He doesn't deserve it, and he certainly doesn't deserve you." He steps closer, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "He's using you, you know. You're a shield, a distraction. The moment you are no longer useful, he will discard you like he does everyone else." "You're wrong," I say, but a sliver of the old fear pierces my newfound confidence. "Am I?" He smiles, a cold, reptilian twisting of his lips. "He keeps you locked in that tower of his. Does he let you see your sister? Or is she just another part of the price he paid for you?" The mention of Chloe is a low blow, and it hits its mark. I haven't been able to visit her. Ronan said it was too dangerous, that the hospital was too public, too unsecured. He arranged for video calls every day, but it's not the same. I miss her. The guilt is a constant, dull ache. He's protecting me, I say, my voice weaker now. He's isolating you, Marco counters. There's a difference. But I can help you. I can get you out. I can get you to your sister. A new life, away from all this. His offer hangs in the air, a poisonous temptation. For a fleeting second, I picture it. A quiet life, with Chloe, far away from the violence and the fear. But then I picture Ronan's face in the candlelight, his haunted eyes, the tender brush of his lips against mine. A life without him. The thought leaves an unexpected void in my chest. Why would you help me? I ask, my voice steady again. I'm not just a pawn anymore. I know how to play the game. Marco's smile widens. Because the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And you, my dear, are the key to bringing Ronan Marchesi to his knees. The trap is sprung. He's not trying to save me. He's trying to use me. He's confirming his own betrayal. I have to go, I say, turning away from him. He grabs my arm, his fingers digging into my skin. Don't be a fool, Maya. This is your only way out. Let go of me. My voice is low, but it rings with a cold authority I didn't know I possessed. Make a scene, and you'll regret it, he hisses, his face close to mine. He's right. Ronan's voice, deadly calm, comes from directly behind Marco. You will regret it. Marco freezes. He drops my arm as if it's on fire and spins around. Ronan is standing there, his face a mask of cold, controlled fury. The group of men he was talking to are gone. His entire focus is on his cousin. Ronan, Marco stammers, his bravado vanishing. We were just talking. I saw the way you were talking, Ronan says, his eyes flicking to the red marks on my arm where Marco's fingers had been. His gaze darkens into something murderous. He takes a step forward, and Marco takes a reflexive step back. Stay away from her, Ronan says, his voice a low growl that promises violence. This is your only warning. The next time you come near her, the next time you even look at her, I will finish what our grandfathers started, and I will erase every trace of your line of the family from this city. The threat is absolute. It's not about business, it's about blood. Marco pales, a sheen of sweat on his forehead. He gives a jerky nod, turns, and disappears into the crowd. Ronan turns to me, his fury instantly replaced by a fierce concern. He gently takes my arm, his thumb tracing the red marks on my skin. Did he hurt you? No, I'm fine, I say, my voice shaking slightly. Ronan, he said you were using me. He tried to convince me to help him get to you. I know, he says, his eyes never leaving my face. I heard. He doesn't ask what I said. He doesn't question my loyalty. He just trusts me. The realization is a profound, grounding force. He's the one, isn't he? I ask quietly. The one who betrayed you with the shipment. Yes, he says, his jaw tight. And he just confirmed it. He's working with the O'Connell family, our biggest rivals, trying to start a war. The final piece of the puzzle clicks into place. This isn't just family jealousy. This is a full-blown conspiracy, and I am standing in the middle of it. We're leaving, Ronan says, his hand moving to the small of my back, guiding me toward the exit. Dimitri appears at our side, his face grim, and 2 other guards fall into place behind us. We move through the gala like a phalanx, a bubble of deadly purpose in a sea of oblivious champagne-swilling socialites. In the car, the silence is thick with tension. Ronan stares out the window, his mind clearly racing, planning his next move. I watch his reflection in the glass, the hard lines of his face, the storm in his eyes. He is a king planning a war. He mentioned Chloe, I say quietly. He used her to try and get to me. Ronan turns from the window, his face etched with regret. That's my fault. I isolated you to protect you, but I gave him a weapon to use against you. It won't happen again. When we get back to the penthouse, he doesn't retreat to his study. He leads me to the living room, pouring 2 glasses of whiskey and handing one to me. Tonight Marco made his final mistake, he says, his voice grim. He showed his hand. And he touched you. Now, I end this. What are you going to do? I ask, my heart pounding. I'm going to give him the opportunity to hang himself, he says, echoing my own words back to me. I'm going to feed him false information, a location for a new shipment. When he passes it to the O'Connells, we will be waiting, For all of them, it's a trap. A deadly, final trap. It's dangerous, I whisper. My world is dangerous, he says. He reaches out, tucking a stray strand of hair behind my ear. But I will not let it touch you. I need you to trust me, Maya. I do, I say. And the words are the truest I've ever spoken. I trust this dangerous, complicated, broken man. I trust him with my safety. I trust him with my sister's life. And God help me, I am starting to trust him with my heart. He leans in and kisses me. This time, it's not tentative or searching. It is deep and sure and possessive, a kiss that seals a pact. It is a kiss that says you are mine. And as I kiss him back, I am not surrendering. I am choosing. I am choosing him. The next 24 hours are the longest of my life. Ronan is a whirlwind of focused, deadly energy. Men come and go from the penthouse at all hours, their faces grim, their conversations hushed and urgent. Dimitri is a constant, silent presence. The air is thick with the anticipation of violence. Ronan includes me. He doesn't hide his plans. He lays out maps on the massive dining room table, showing me routes, ambush points, extraction plans. He explains the logistics, the risks, the players involved. He's not just informing me, he's treating me like a partner. My opinion matters. My presence is a balm to his coiled tension. Marco believes the exchange is happening at the old naval shipyard tomorrow at midnight, he explains, tapping a location on the map. He will lead the O'Connells there. But the real shipment is secure. The shipyard will be empty, except for my men. They'll walk right into it, I whisper, a cold knot of fear in my stomach. That's the plan, he says, his face grim. The night of the trap, he stands before me, dressed not in a suit, but in dark, practical clothing. There is a gun holstered under his arm. The reality of who he is, of what he is about to do, has never been more stark. He is a warrior going to battle. I have to go, he says. Be careful, I whisper, my hand gripping his arm. He covers my hand with his own. I have something to come back to now, he says, his dark eyes intense. That makes all the difference. He kisses me, a hard, desperate kiss filled with the uncertainty of the night ahead. Then he turns and leaves, Dimitri and his men following him out. The door clicks shut, and the penthouse is silent. I am alone with my fear. I pace the length of the apartment, from the windows overlooking the glittering, oblivious city, to the library filled with stories of fictional heroes, to the bedroom where the scent of him lingers on the pillows. Every siren I hear in the distance makes my heart leap into my throat. Every minute that stretches by feels like an hour. I think about the man who hides in the dark and listens to his parents die. The man who builds fortresses to protect a broken heart. The man who saw light in a lonely housekeeper and decided to steal it for himself. I am no longer his captive. I am his accomplice, his partner, his light, and I am terrified of that light being extinguished. Hours pass. Midnight comes and goes. The city begins to quiet down. I'm curled up on the sofa, wrapped in a blanket, when the elevator chimes. I leap to my feet, my heart pounding. The doors slide open. Ronan is standing there. He's alive. He's exhausted, bruised, and his shirt is torn at the shoulder, but he's alive. Dimitri is behind him, his face grim but unharmed. I run to him, my arms wrapping around his neck, burying my face in his chest. I can smell gunpowder, rain, and blood. He holds me tight, his arms a circle of steel around me, his face buried in my hair. It's over, he murmurs against my skin. It's done. Marco, I ask, my voice muffled. He's been dealt with, Ronan says, his voice flat and final. It's a chillingly vague statement, and I know better than to ask for details. The O'Connells have been sent a very clear message. No one will be bothering us for a very long time. He pulls back, his hands framing my face. He looks at me, his eyes dark and weary, but filled with a profound relief. The war is over. The threat is gone. We did it, I whisper. We did it, he confirms, a small smile touching his lips. He leans down and kisses me, a kiss of victory, of relief, of coming home. In the days that follow, a new sense of peace settles over the penthouse. The tension is gone, replaced by a quiet intimacy. The threat has been neutralized. The external conflict is resolved. One evening, we are standing on the balcony, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and purple. The city is spread out before us, a kingdom at peace. The original arrangement is over, Ronan says, his voice quiet. He doesn't look at me, his gaze fixed on the horizon. The threat from Marco is gone. You are no longer my weakness. You are no longer a target. He turns to face me, his expression serious. I've set up a trust for you and Chloe. It's more than enough for you to live comfortably for the rest of your lives. I've arranged for a new identity, a house in another state, anything you want. You can leave, Maya. You can be free. No one will ever bother you again. You can go and live in the light, away from all of this darkness. He is offering me an out, the ultimate act of vulnerability. He is giving me the choice to leave him, knowing he might have to return to the gray, colorless world he lived in before. He is giving me back my life, no strings attached. I look at him, at this powerful, broken, beautiful man who tried to buy a piece of light and ended up giving me his heart. I think of the life he's offering me, a safe, quiet, simple life, the life I always thought I wanted. And I know, with absolute certainty, that it's not what I want anymore. What if I don't want to go? I ask softly. He looks at me, hope and fear warring in his eyes. Maya, my old life is gone, Ronan, I say, stepping closer to him. You blew it up the night you took my hand at that wedding. This is my life now. This penthouse, this city, this darkness. I reach up and touch his cheek, my fingers tracing the line of his jaw. But it's not dark when you're here. You're my light, too. A tremor runs through him. I am not a good man. You were a good man to me, I whisper. You saved my sister. You protected me. You saw me when I felt invisible. I don't want a safe life. I want a life with you. This is my choice. My proactive, empowered decision. I am not the reactive housekeeper anymore. I am a woman who knows what she wants, and she is choosing to stand by the side of the man she loves. He pulls me to him, his arms wrapping around me, holding me as if he'll never let go. I love you, Maya Ellis, he says, his voice thick with emotion, the words he's never said to anyone. I love you, Ronan Marchesi, I reply, my voice sure and strong. The old contract, the one made of fear and desperation, is void. This is our new pact, one made of love and choice. He kisses me as the last rays of the sun disappear and the city lights begin to sparkle below. Our own private galaxy. I am no longer his weakness, and he is no longer my captor. We are partners, and this is not a gilded cage. It's home. I used to think love was something that happened to other people, people who had choices, who didn't have to scrub marble floors or count every dollar between hope and disaster. But then one night, in a room full of power and fear, a man like Ronan Marchesi took my hand and refused to let go. I thought he was claiming me. Maybe he was. But somewhere between the danger and the quiet, the commands and the confessions, I realized I was claiming him too. He called me his weakness, but I became his truth. He became my shield, and somehow, my freedom. The housekeeper and the Mafia king, the lie that turned into a life neither of us expected. So yes, I stayed. Not because I was trapped, but because for the first time in my life, I wasn't invisible. I was seen. I was chosen. And maybe love isn't light or dark at all. Maybe it's both the storm and the shelter that follows. If you've been with me through this story, through the fear, the fire, and the unthinkable choice, thank you. Tell me in the comments, would you have taken his hand that night or walked away? Like this video if your heart raced with mine. Subscribe and ring the bell for the next dark, slow burn love story. And until next time, keep your heart brave, and remember, even the wrong man can sometimes be the one who saves you.